This is Tales and Whispers, where every story is felt, not just heard.
So, let me ask you something. Have you ever seen a manicure put out a fire? I know, it sounds a little crazy, right? But I'm not talking about a literal fire. I'm talking about that fire of fear that can just rage inside of us. And the story we're diving into today, it's all about that.
Yeah, we're gonna look at this incredible story that, it went viral, and for all the right reasons. It's called Manicure for the Brave. And trust me, it's a perfect example of how the smallest acts of kindness can have the biggest impact.
So let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in a moment of absolute crisis. One of those moments that just flips a small child's entire world upside down.
Okay, so picture this. It's October 2019. In Utah, there's been a car accident, and within just a few minutes, the whole scene is just chaos. But it's that organized chaos, Sirens are screaming, lights are flashing everywhere, you hear all these voices shouting. I mean, that's a lot for any of us to handle, right? Now imagine you're just a little kid.
And standing right in the middle of all that noise and confusion is a 2-year-old girl named Braylon.
Now here's the thing. Physically, she was totally fine. Not a single scratch on her. But emotionally, oh man, she was terrified. Just standing there on the side of the road, trembling.
The original story described it so perfectly. It said, fear held her heart with heavy hands. Wow, you can just feel that, can't you? The weight of that terror on such a little person. So in the middle of all this chaos, her whole world just kind of shrinks down. It all boils down to 2 tiny little things she's clutching like her life depends on it. They were her only lifelines.
And what were they? You might think a teddy bear or a blanket, right? Nope. It was 2 bottles of nail polish. 1 pink, 1 purple. That's it. In this huge, scary world, those were her little anchors.
But believe it or not, those 2 little bottles of nail polish, that's where this story takes a really incredible turn. They're about to create a moment of connection that, well, nobody could have predicted.
So a couple of firefighters on the scene, they see her. And here's the key part. They were both dads. So they didn't just see another part of the accident scene, They looked right past the checklists and the procedures, and they just saw a scared little girl. And what they did next was just brilliant. They didn't stand over her, which would have been so intimidating, right? Instead, they got right down on her level. They knelt down and just spoke to her softly, calmly. They understood that in that moment, they could either be another scary thing or they could be the ones to make it all okay. And then one of them, he sees the nail polish in her hands, and he asks the simplest, most out of the blue and absolutely perfect question. He just says, "Braylon, would you like to do our nails?" Just think about that for a second. Why did that work so well? Well, the question was just so unexpected. It was so gentle and, frankly, a little absurd for the middle of an accident scene. And that's what made it perfect. It was like it just broke through the noise and completely short-circuited her fear. It gave her a little escape hatch, a door out of that scary place in her mind. And what happened next was just this beautiful, quiet moment of healing. The mission completely changed. It wasn't about the car crash anymore. It was about the manicure. And you could literally see the change happen right then and there. First, this little smile starts to form. Then you see her hands, which had been shaking, they start to steady. The tears, they just stop. And in that moment, the whole loud, scary accident just kind of melted away into the background. Her entire focus just shifted. For her, and for these 2 big firefighters sitting right there with her on the curb, getting their nails painted became the most important job in the entire world. It was this perfect, shared moment of calm.
So, okay, what's the bigger picture here? What can we take away from this? Because this story, it's so much more than just a sweet, feel-good moment. It really makes you rethink what courage actually is.
I mean, when you think firefighter courage, you probably think of running into a burning building, right? Pure physical bravery. And yeah, that is absolutely heroic, no question. But this shows us a totally different kind of courage. It's the courage to be gentle, to be vulnerable. The courage to get down on your knees and put all of your energy into calming one tiny, terrified heart.
So really, the big takeaway is pretty simple, but it's so powerful. Never, ever underestimate a small act of kindness. A quiet word, a silly question, just a simple moment of connection. These aren't just nice things to do. They can be actual lifelines. They can literally help put someone back together when their world is falling apart.
And that really just leaves us with one last question to think about. That manicure, obviously it's a metaphor, right? It's about any small act of kindness that just meets someone exactly where they are, in the middle of their own chaos. So the question I'll leave you with is this: who in your world needs your manicure today?